My brothers and sisters, let me take you back to a moment that will remain forever in our history. The day I held that piece of earth in my hands, dark, unremarkable, looking like any soil from our villages, I knew I was holding the future. In that moment, standing before cameras, diplomats, and leaders, I realized the ground beneath our feet was no longer just dirt. It was destiny. For centuries, Africa's soil has been walked on, farmed, and fought over. Our grandfathers tilled it, never imagining that beneath the crops and dust lay the very elements that power the modern world. For decades, foreign companies dug into it, stripped it bare, and shipped away its treasures. They told us this soil was worthless. They convinced us we had nothing but poverty. Yet today, that same earth has become the foundation of the 21st century economy. Every smartphone in your pocket, every electric vehicle on the road, every wind turbine spinning in the sky, every solar panel catching sunlight, and every advanced missile system in a superpower's arsenal all depend on rare earth elements. And where are these elements found? In the soil of Africa. From Burkina Faso to Congo, from Mali to Madagascar, our lands are rich with the minerals the world cannot live without. But here is the tragedy. For decades, we dug those minerals out, sold them raw for pennies per ton, and watched foreign nations refine them into products worth thousands of times more. China built an empire of factories on the back of our soil. The iPhone in your hand contains less than $1 worth of African rare earths, yet sells in American stores for over $1,000. That profit gap is the story of our exploitation. China mastered the art of dependence. They bought our minerals cheap, refined them in their factories, and then controlled the global economy by controlling supply. When Japan challenged them in a territorial dispute, they cut off exports overnight, shutting down Japanese car plants. When America imposed sanctions, they threatened to halt shipments, holding the Pentagon hostage. They built a monopoly not just on minerals, but on power itself. And we, Africans, were invisible in this story. We provided the earth, but not the value. That era ends today. The $42 billion partnership between Africa and India is not just another mining contract. It is the day Africa stopped being the world's quarry and became the world's factory. It is the day we looked Beijing in the eye and said, "Your monopoly ends here. Your exploitation stops now." The rare earth revolution belongs to Africa. This agreement is about more than dollars. It is about dignity. It is about declaring that the rocks beneath our villages will no longer leave as raw dirt, but return as finished products made by African hands. No more exporting poverty. No more importing prosperity. From now on, the value stays here. The wealth stays here. The future is built here. Our people know the pain of promises made and promises broken. Ask any elder in Fanangurma who watched foreign companies arrive with smiles and speeches, only to leave with full trucks and empty commitments. They promised schools but left children studying by candlelight. They promised hospitals but left mothers giving birth without electricity. They promised jobs but left entire villages in hunger. And we accepted this because we were told we had no choice. We were told Africa's role was to supply, not to create, to dig, not to design, to serve, not to lead. But history has a way of turning. Today, the same villages that were robbed of their wealth are seeing bulldozers not just to dig, but to build. Processing plants, factories, research universities, and training centers. Today, the soil that once made us servants makes us sovereign. What does $42 billion buy? $15 billion for rare earth processing plants across West Africa. Not just extraction, but transformation. For the first time, our engineers will separate neodymium from ore. Our chemists will purify europium. Our scientists will guard knowledge that others once denied us. $10 billion for magnet factories in Burkina Faso, producing the strongest permanent magnets on Earth. Magnets that power wind turbines in Texas, electric cars in Detroit, in defense technology in Washington. $8 billion for electronics component plants. African-made capacitors, resistors, and circuit boards, competing head-to-head with Chinese exports. $5 billion for universities and technical schools. Our youth will study rare earth chemistry not in Beijing or Boston, but in Ouagadougou. $4 billion for defense-grade production facilities, ensuring our militaries no longer depend on foreign suppliers to protect our sovereignty. This is not charity. This is not aid. This is partnership. India secures stable rare earth supplies for its booming economy. Africa secures the industrial revolution we have waited centuries to begin. Let us speak plainly. This is not just about economics. It is about people. Young Salif, who once watched Chinese trucks carry away tons of dark soil, now studies rare earth chemistry at our new technical college. Next year, he will operate the very plant built in his hometown. The trucks will still roll out, but this time they will carry refined materials worth 10 times more, and Salif will help count the profits. Grandmother Aisha, who saw 60 years of broken promises, now sees schools, hospitals, and power lines in her village. For her, this deal is not about geopolitics. It is about her grandchildren having light to study, clinics for healthcare, and jobs in their own community. When the soil of Africa enriches Africa itself, it transforms not only economies but lives. The world is watching. Tech executives are already flying into Ouagadougou. Defense contractors are requesting meetings. Renewable energy firms are lining up to sign contracts. From Silicon Valley to Wall Street, everyone wants a piece of Africa's new promise. And in Washington and Brussels, panic is spreading. Their entire green energy transition, electric cars, solar grids, wind farms, depends on rare earths. Their military dominance, jets, satellites, drones, depends on rare earths. For decades, they bowed to Beijing because China controlled the supply. Now, for the first time in history, Africa offers the alternative. This is power, not the kind of power measured in kilowatts, but the power to choose our destiny, the power to negotiate as equals, not as subjects, the power to decide who we partner with and on what terms. For 30 years, China played a long game. They did not simply buy our minerals. They built an entire ecosystem of factories, laboratories, and research centers, making themselves indispensable. When Japan angered them, factories in Tokyo shut down. When the United States imposed sanctions, Pentagon supply chains shook. China learned that whoever controls rare earths controls the world's future. And yet, they forgot one thing. Africa holds the earth itself. This deal with India is not about replacing Chinese dominance with Indian dominance. It is about ending dominance altogether. It is about building a multipolar supply chain where Africa is not a pawn, but a player, not a colony, but a competitor. Let me be clear. India does not come as a master, but as a partner. They extract, but they also train. They build, but they also share. They invest, but they also respect. For decades, China guarded rare earth technology like a crown jewel. Today, Indian engineers will stand shoulder to shoulder with African students, teaching them the science that Beijing tried to monopolize. This is a diplomatic revolution. It tells the world, if you want Africa's minerals, you must deal with Africa's people as equals. No more secret contracts, no more predatory loans, no more strings that bind our sovereignty. Consider this. When we exported raw ore, we earned pennies per pound. China refined that ore into magnets worth thousands of dollars per kilogram. That is the exploitation gap. That is how others grew rich on our soil while our children studied by candlelight. But no more. Now the chain of value begins and ends in Africa. Rare earths will be mined here, processed here, manufactured here, and exported as finished products. This is not a slogan. It is a structural transformation. Magnets made in Burkina Faso will power the wind turbines in Iowa. Circuit boards made in Ouagadougou will run in the smartphones of New York. Defense systems built with African materials will be purchased by armies worldwide, under contracts we control. We are no longer shipping wealth away. We are multiplying it at home. Every step of the chain, mining, refining, manufacturing, adds jobs, adds knowledge, adds power. Think of the impact. Tens of thousands of African workers employed, thousands of engineers trained, hundreds of new businesses created. Our GDPs will no longer depend only on commodities, but on industry, on technology, on innovation. This is not just economics. This is liberation. But my brothers and sisters, let us remember, Development is meaningless if it does not touch the lives of ordinary people. What good is a billion-dollar plant if a village still has no clean water? What good is a factory if our youth cannot afford school? What good is profit if it does not bring dignity? This partnership is different because it was built with people at its heart. For the first time, mining contracts include community development funds. When a plant rises in a village, so does a school. When machinery hums, so do hospitals. When profits flow, so does electricity into homes. Imagine Aisha's grandchildren studying under electric lights instead of candle flames. Imagine young Salif, once watching trucks drive away, now driving innovation inside a modern lab. Imagine entire villages no longer begging for scraps, but thriving on salaries, services, and opportunities. That is what this deal means at ground level. It is not just about minerals, it is about human transformation. And let us not forget the most critical lesson. Modern independence requires more than flags and anthems. It requires control of technology. In today's world, warfare is electronic warfare. Satellites require rare earth magnets. Drones need specialized minerals. Communication systems depend on rare elements. For too long, our armies depended on foreign suppliers. One phone call from Washington or Beijing could paralyze our defense capabilities, but not anymore. With $4 billion in defense-grade facilities, Africa will finally build its own secure supply chain. From ore to weapon, from soil to system, everything under African oversight. Our soldiers will fight with equipment made from African resources, processed in African plants, designed by African engineers. This is not just economic sovereignty. This is strategic sovereignty. This is the shield of true independence. Look around the globe. In Washington, policymakers are scrambling. In Brussels, energy ministers are calculating. In Tokyo, industrialists are worrying. For decades, they relied on China. Now they face a world where Africa holds the key to their industries, their militaries, their futures. And in Beijing, a new reality has dawned. No longer can they treat Africa as an invisible supplier. No longer can they dictate prices and terms. No longer can they corner the market without resistance. We, the people of Africa, now stand at the center of the world's most strategic industry, and we stand not as beggars, but as partners, not as subjects, but as equals. Brothers and sisters, close your eyes and picture Africa in the year 2044, 20 years after this moment. Picture rare earth processing plants humming across the continent, from Dakar to Dar es Salaam, from Kinshasa to Cape Town. Picture African engineers designing the world's most advanced magnets, competing with the labs of MIT, Stanford, and Cambridge. Picture research universities in Ouagadougou and Accra standing shoulder to shoulder with the great institutions of Europe and America. Picture a smartphone in your pocket stamped with the proud words, "Made in Africa." Picture an electric car on the streets of Los Angeles powered not by Chinese magnets, but by African ones. Picture solar farms in Nevada, wind farms in Texas, defense systems in Washington, all running on the rare earths refined, processed, and manufactured by African workers. That is not a dream. That is a future within reach, a future written in the soil beneath our feet. For too long, the narrative of Africa was written by others. Our oil fueled their cars. Our gold filled their banks. Our diamonds decorated their fingers. Our minerals built their factories. And what did we inherit? Poverty. But this deal declares a new truth. Our value does not lie in what we give away, but in what we create. We are not destined to be exporters of raw materials. We are destined to be creators of wealth, builders of industries, makers of innovation. This is the final death sentence for mineral colonialism. No longer will African earth power foreign prosperity while our children go hungry. From now on, African earth will power African dreams. And let us remember, the greatest refinery is not made of steel or concrete. It is the human mind. That is why this partnership invests not only in factories, but in people. Universities, technical schools, research labs. For the first time, African students will learn to purify neodymium, to refine europium, to manufacture complex electronics, not in Beijing, not in Boston, but right here, on our own soil. This is the true revolution. Because minerals can be exhausted, but knowledge multiplies. The day our children master rare earth chemistry, Africa's future will never again depend on foreign mercy. Imagine the pride of a young student in Mali designing the magnet that powers a Tesla in California. Imagine the brilliance of a Ghanaian researcher creating the next breakthrough in green energy. Imagine the dignity of African professors teaching the world about technologies once guarded against us. Education is our ultimate weapon. Knowledge is our ultimate shield, and this deal lights the fire of learning across the continent. But brothers and sisters, let me warn you, minerals are powerful, but they are also dangerous. They attract greed. They spark conflict. They invite foreign interference. For too long, our nations have been divided, manipulated, and exploited because of what lies under our soil. That is why this deal must be more than national. It must be continental. Burkina Faso's refineries must serve Mali and Niger. Ghana's lithium must be linked to Congo's cobalt. Rwanda's tantalum must align with Namibia's uranium. Only together can we protect ourselves from being divided and conquered once again. The Africa-India rare earth corridor is not just a trade route, it is a statement. Africa will rise not as 54 separate states, but as one united force. Our strength is not in isolation, but in integration. To the West, we say, your green energy future depends on us. Respect us, partner with us, treat us as equals, or be left behind. To China, we say, your monopoly is broken. Compete fairly, or lose your grip on the world economy. To India, we say, thank you for walking with us as partners, not masters. But remember, partnership is built on equality, not dependency. To our own leaders, we say, do not betray this moment. Do not sell tomorrow for the price of today. Guard this revolution as you would guard your own children. And to our youth, we say, the world is finally opening its eyes to Africa. This is your moment. Learn, build, create, lead. The soil beneath your feet holds the future. Do not waste it. My brothers and sisters, when historians write about this century, they will not say Africa was poor. They will say Africa was patient. They will say Africa was denied, exploited, underestimated, but never defeated. They will say Africa waited for its moment, and when the moment came, Africa rose with unstoppable power. That moment is now. This is the moment Africa transforms from supplier to manufacturer, from colony to competitor, from the world's quarry to the world's factory. This is the moment we claim not just our minerals, but our destiny. So let the cameras stop flashing. Let the signing ceremony fade. The real work begins now. Let every African farmer, student, worker, and leader hear these words. We are not just mining rare earths. We are mining our own future. We are not just refining minerals. We are refining our dignity. We are not just exporting products. We are exporting pride. The soil of Africa is not just earth, it is destiny. And destiny, my brothers and sisters, is finally in our hands.